Alcaraz did not ease into the 2026 season, he forced his way into it. In Melbourne, he walked into the Australian Open final against Novak Djokovic and lost the first set 2-6. It looked like experience might take over. Instead, the match flipped. Alcaraz raised his level immediately, took control of the rallies and won the next 3 sets. In just over 3 hours, he didn't just win another slam, he completed the career Grand Slam at 22 years old, the youngest man ever to do it. That was his 7th major title. At that age, Federer had one, Djokovic had one, Nadal had several, but still fewer than Alcaraz now holds at the same stage. The comparison is no longer hypothetical, it's statistical, and the season didn't slow down after Melbourne. 3 weeks later, Alcaraz arrived in Doha and played one of the cleanest finals of his career. He defeated Arthur Fils in just 50 minutes, 5 breaks of serve, total control from the baseline. He called it one of the best performances he's produced so far. Not emotionally, not dramatically, just a clear statement of level. That win pushed his start to 12-0 in 2026. This is where the conversation around him has changed. It's no longer about potential, it's about pace, the speed at which he is collecting results that historically took years longer for other great players. By February, he already owned titles across all surfaces in his career: hard courts, clay, and grass. The Australian Open added the missing piece, meaning he has now won every major tournament required for the career slam before turning 23. He also reached his 26th ATP title, spread across 14 different countries. That matters because it shows something beyond peak performance. It shows adaptability, different conditions, different courts, different parts of the season, the kind of range that usually develops much later in a career. Even his ranking timeline reflects that acceleration. 60 weeks already spent at world number 1. At this age, the combined total of the big 3 was far lower. None of this guarantees a future record, but it explains why former players and analysts are openly discussing whether his level is arriving earlier than what tennis has seen before. Stan Wawrinka recently said the level produced right now by Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner is amazingly high, even compared to previous generations. That isn't nostalgia, that's someone who played directly against Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic, making the comparison himself. The numbers behind Alcaraz's matches support the idea. Over the last year, he has averaged nearly 6 aces per match while maintaining one of the highest win percentages on outdoor hard courts, including a long winning streak in those conditions. His overall career record already sits above an 80% win rate. What stands out is not one specific weapon, it's how complete his game already looks this early. He isn't modeled on one of the big 3 styles. He doesn't rely solely on baseline endurance like Nadal, or precision serving patterns like Federer, or elastic defense like Djokovic. His matches shift pace constantly, aggression when the opening appears, patience when it doesn't. That variety is why discussions around him are less about resemblance and more about separation. At the same time, his season is unfolding alongside the one rivalry that is starting to define this era: Jannik Sinner. Their head-to-head has already reached double digits in matches, with Alcaraz leading overall and holding advantages in major tournaments and finals. Over the past season alone, they met repeatedly at the biggest stages, splitting results but pushing each other's level higher every time. Alcaraz himself has said that rivalry is essential for him, not emotionally, competitively. It gives structure to the season, it gives direction to improvement. Right now though, the early momentum in 2026 belongs to him. 2 tournaments played, 2 trophies, no losses. And that start is exactly why the question surrounding Carlos Alcaraz has become unavoidable. Not about whether he can win big titles, but about how quickly he is changing the timeline that defined greatness before him. The comparison with past champions becomes clearer when you look at how their careers actually unfolded, not how we remember them now. Roger Federer did not dominate immediately. His breakthrough came gradually, with years of development before he controlled the tour. Novak Djokovic needed time to solve the physical demands of long seasons before becoming consistent at the very top. Rafael Nadal's early success was extraordinary, but heavily tied to clay before he expanded into a complete all-surface force. Alcaraz has entered the conversation from a different angle. His biggest titles have not been concentrated in one phase of the calendar or one type of court. They are already distributed across surfaces and locations, which removes the usual question marks about adaptability. Winning majors in different environments so early suggests a level of adjustment that most players only learn after years of losses. This difference is why analysts are cautious about projecting limits. The traditional development curve, breakthrough, specialization, then expansion doesn't fully apply here. Alcaraz arrived with a game already flexible enough to handle variation in pace, bounce, and opponent style. The rivalry forming alongside that rise is also shaping how the season is being measured. Jannik Sinner represents a completely different kind of pressure. His game is built on clean ball striking and relentless depth, forcing opponents to defend from uncomfortable positions. Their matches rarely settle into rhythm because both players are willing to change direction early in rallies. That dynamic has already produced multiple high-level encounters, and it's creating the kind of competitive tension that historically drives sustained excellence. Instead of one player pulling away, the presence of a close challenger forces constant refinement. That pattern defined earlier eras of the sport, and it appears to be forming again, just with a faster starting point. Another factor influencing how this season is viewed is scheduling. Modern players move quickly from one event to another, leaving little time for resets. Maintaining form through that rhythm requires not just physical readiness, but decision-making clarity. Early in 2026, Alcaraz has handled those transitions without visible drop in level, carrying momentum from Melbourne straight into another title run, rather than treating it as recovery time. That ability to sustain sharpness immediately after a major win is often what separates a strong season from a historically significant one. It also changes how expectations are framed. The conversation is no longer about whether he can win multiple tournaments. It's about whether this pace can be maintained across the full calendar, through Masters events, surface changes, and the inevitable fluctuations that test even the best players. Tennis history shows that dominance is rarely defined by a single stretch. It is defined by how a player responds once opponents adapt, once scouting improves, once every match carries the weight of expectation. That phase is still unfolding for Alcaraz, which is why the next months matter more than the first ones. What has already been established, though, is the scale of the opening statement. A career Grand Slam completed at an age when most players are still assembling their first consistent results. A season opened without a loss. Titles earned in different regions within weeks. A rivalry developing in parallel rather than arriving years later. These are not conclusions, they are indicators, signs of a trajectory that is moving faster than the sport is used to tracking. And that is what makes this moment in Carlos Alcaraz's career less about celebration and more about observation. The foundations have formed unusually early. The response from the rest of the tour is just beginning. The season is still young, but the standard it must now answer to has already been set.